Hi everyone, Carter Krishna are here from the pavilion. Did not expect to be talking cricket today. Thought this was going to be just a football day, and there's been so much that's gone on in football in the World Cup the last few days here in the United States where I'm located. But we have to talk about England's destruction, and that's the only word I can use. Destruction of India today at Trent Bridge, which I think brings India, the world champions, the two-time reigning world champions at the T20 in the T20 format, which is the most popular format of the game. And this is the second most popular game in the world behind football, well, football or soccer, as we call it here in the States. India is at a crisis point. They've lost 4 matches on the bounce in T20, all in the British Isles. The 2 losses to Ireland, followed up by these 2 losses to England. The loss to England the other day was I think it was one very bad over that we talked about, that Ravi bowled and gave up 29 runs. And Jacob Bethel was on fire in that over, and there were a couple extras. But today was a clear case of where I think India now is in trouble, right? They lost the 2 matches in Belfast. They lost a match in Manchester. They lost a match today in Nottingham. The first match that got scrubbed against England, they had actually batted pretty well and had posted a score England may not have been able to chase down. But I don't know. India's having problems, so maybe they would have chased it down. The sea breezes of Northern Ireland clearly caused problems for India. And this is what I want to address in this video. I think India is so reliant now. They have the best domestic cricket competition in the world. And this is, okay, so it's funny. We're talking about the Football World Cup. One of the issues historically for England, the country who defeated India today, has been too many of their players have been playing in their domestic league. And while it is the richest, most decorated football competition on the planet, club competition, exposure to other styles of play and other conditions have always hurt England. And now that England's 2 best players are playing outside of England, Harry Kane plays in Germany and in the Bundesliga, and Jude Bellingham played in the Bundesliga, now plays in Spain's La Liga, and you have some other guys playing abroad, and Anthony Gordon's going to go to Barcelona this year. Marcus Rashford has been at Barcelona. Jarell Quansah is been played brilliantly for for Bayer Leverkusen this past year. You have that going for them. And that's why they might win this FIFA World Cup. Now, in terms of India, India has won a World Cup at home, a T20 World Cup at home, and they've won a T20 World Cup in the United States and the West Indies, where conditions and 2 of the U.S. venues. The one venue, New York, was maybe a little different condition-wise, but the 2 other venues were Dallas and Fort Lauderdale. And they didn't play in Dallas, right? Did India play in Dallas? Yeah, I think that India did play in Dallas, yes. And they played in Fort Lauderdale, and they played in all 3 U.S. venues. And then they went to the West Indies. Conditions very similar to India. But I think when you talk about the conditions in Northern Ireland, and then the pitches, the way the pitches are in the Midlands and in the north of England, and this is why I think India doesn't have as much trouble when they go to Lord's or when they go to the Oval in London. But when they go to Trent Bridge, when they go to Old Trafford, the match on Saturday was at Saturday or Sunday. Saturday, I think it was at Old Trafford. Sunday. Maybe it was Sunday. It was July 4th, 4th of July. Saturday. It was at Old Trafford. You get different kinds of balance, different kinds of spin. You get these tracks that they grip, right? The wicket plays very differently than it does in the south of England or on the Indian subcontinent. And I think the ultra flat bouncing pitches of the IPL and just the Indian subcontinent in general is different, because in India, if a batsman sees a wide over-pitched delivery, they often can just kind of swing through it and hit the line of the ball, trusting that there's not going to be some sort of wild deviation. In the British Isles, doing that leads to quick wickets, as we saw today. I mean, India was a mess today. They chose to bat second, and England posted a good number, not an unchaseable number, but it was just it it was just pathetic. So in Ireland, the top of India's order in both those matches constantly kind of nipped back or held in the damp surface, not knowing what to do. And they were beaten that very first match, just ripped to pieces by 34 runs. Now today, again, the Old Trafford fixture, I think, was an even match between an England team that was very desperate, which was going through a crisis that we've talked about repeatedly from the Pavilion and the Ben Stokes thing at the test level. But what happened today? Jofra Archer and Josh Tongue took 6 wickets in the first 4 overs those two guys bowled. A combined 6 wickets in 4 overs. And this was after India had held England without a run in the first 7 balls of their innings. And then England just exploded, right? India's bowling got loose, got uneven. But let's get back to the batting. So when Archer and Tongue in particular deliver on these surfaces and the air moves the ball in ways that are unexpected for the Indian batters, they just kind of whack at it. India is failing to read. I mean, I don't want to get too technical about this, and I'm not the greatest at math, but they're not reading the geometry of these pitches and where the ball is going to go, and very uncharacteristic for them. I mean, even in the second T20 in Belfast, they found themselves chasing 154, which we thought they would chase down, and instead of showing some tactical restraint and some patience, which India has been noted for. I've noted in the last 2 World Cups, India has been very patient. They've taken dot balls like you would in one day or test cricket. They have not wildly swung at balls. And this includes like these very close matches they've had against the likes of the United States and the West Indies in the last 2 tournaments. And South Africa in the final in the previous World Cup. But now they're just kind of like chasing balls. It's a lot of youth and inexperience in the squad, right? We know that this is kind of an experimental Indian squad, which includes a 15-year-old, right? The youngest player to ever get capped. But they're making the sort of tactical errors you don't expect from India. I think India don't quite get that a lot of these bowlers aren't bowling for pace, right? They're medium pacers, they're spinners, they're whatever. They're not fast bowlers, but that there is a certain variation that comes from those balls because of the dampness of the pitch. And if you bowl kind of to the top of the stump, with that as your target, if you're Jofra Archer, let's just say. And we've seen Archer at times get hit on in the IPL. He's been good and bad in the IPL. He's been mostly good, let's face it. But when he comes home to England, he kind of gets where you place those balls. And they've flummoxed India. I saw that today at Trent Bridge. Now, defensive bowling also for India. Harshit and Axar, Harshit Rana and Axar Patel have been bowling very defensively and very predictable lengths that the England guys could just, who are experienced on these tracks, could just get a hold of. Salt, Bethel, Brooke didn't have a very good spell today, but even the other guys were bowling well. And I thought that I thought Rashid Ali has been very good in moments in both these matches for England. So that's good. Adil Rashid. Did I say Rashid Ali? I'm talking about someone else. Adil Rashid has been very good in these two matches, and I give him was thinking Moen Ali, I think. But anyway, Adil has been very good and has bowled well. And Jofra Archer has been at his best. And Phil Tung was really good today. And Salt has, in particular, taken advantage of the loose Indian bowling. So this tour has been a disaster thus far for India. It was supposed to test the depth of India's next generation, but is instead highlighted, I think, a systemic development gap that India now has because they're so reliant on guys playing in the IPL and playing in those conditions. Okay, and even if they go to Caribbean Premier League, even if, sometimes MLC, although MLC seems to be more competition for, even though I'm saying Ben Stokes might be an MLC, it's more of a competition for Australians, South Africans, and Americans. That seems to be the thing. But they have problems. India has problems. That's the bottom line, and let's see if they can solve this. They got a couple more matches in England. I think in this white ball tour, there are 4 more matches, maybe 4 or 5 more matches. Let's see if they figure it out. I'm not optimistic based on the personnel called in for this tour. Now, maybe in the ODIs, it's going to be different because you have Kohli and Sharma in that side who will figure it out, at least the batting side of it. Now, the bowling side, I don't know. I mean, it's a combination of both.